Okay, finally part 3 with the song Warm Day. I don't even know how long this tutorial is already. It kind of feels quite long for me myself, but anyway, let's get through this then. The vocals is the main topic of this part, and you can see there are a lot of vocals. In the recent rack, I kind of put the low end here, the bass, and the percussion. And then here I have my vocals and my guitars and the pianos and everything I sang. And these are all the vocals that were sent in by my friend Helena, who did the female vocal part of this song. There's quite a lot of them, and I'll talk about them as well. But first, let's go to the main vocals of this song. So, oh, come on. Doesn't want to come out. No. For this, I need to jump back into the song view, and the main vocals are all here. I'll talk about my vocals, which is these three tracks, and I'll tell you why there's three. If you just listen to all of them together.
Waking up, I'm slow to get dressed.
I'm not that good of a singer. So to help with that, I have one track, which is just
waking up, I'm slow to get dressed.
But to add in a bit more depth and perhaps help my singing a little bit, I added in two vocal tracks. This is actually just one recording on two tracks.
Waking up,
and what I did with this is that both the left and the right, they both go through a little squashing with the pulverizer. And then they go to Neptune, which is just used for transposing, and it does, for one channel it does -12 cents, and for the other channel it does +12. So it kind of creates this effect between the sounds, and it can be used to create a kind of a creepy vocal. I've done that before, but here it just helps to put a little less definition into my vocal, so the fact that I'm not singing extremely correctly is a bit less pronounced. And I took both of these vocals, and one is panned hard left and the other is panned hard right, and I set them together in this bus. So I can control both of the volumes at the same time, and they're mixed together with my main vocal. The main vocal here, I didn't have a lot of effects here now. I guess the main vocal effects are all in the mixer itself. I did just cut off the low end, then it goes to the vocal bus, and yeah, there's not a lot of effects here. The second vocals that are more in the background have more equalization done on them, just to get them to be a bit more interesting, to add more texture. And then when they all go together through the vocal bus, I added equalization. And this is a method I learned somewhere, that first you cut out the frequencies you don't want, then you compress, and then you do a little bit of boosting. And I really didn't want the vocals to sound, especially the main vocal, to sound too weird, so then I just didn't push too much. Here you can see I cut off the low end a bit, and this is the S's that get through. It's just cutting them out a bit, and then here you have the boxiness in the sound. Now my vocal is helped here by Helena's vocal, so if it's just my vocal, it wasn't that interesting, but luckily Helena sent me tracks of herself doing the whole part. So here are a few places where I've actually muted her part out. For most of the song we're singing kind of in unison.
Waking up, I'm slow to get dressed. Such a beautiful light.
And here the quantization tool helped a lot as well, because she didn't sing exactly on spot with me in all places. However, you can look at where the other vocal is a bit off, and you can just drag it into place with your own. So that helps very much. You can't do it with the ends, but the ends don't really matter that much if you listen.
Warm day.
And this was a longer day. However, it's still kind of in the final mix. Doesn't sound too bad. Her vocals are processed very similarly to mine. It's the cutting out the syllables. S-sync sounds are higher here, and also a little boost higher than mine, so they don't interact too much. And the vocals have a nice little delay on them and some reverb. Now the background vocals, and there's many of them. You can see here all the background vocal tracks that come. This is the first chorus. I took out a few so it would have a bigger contrast when the second chorus came. Then you have all the solo parts here where I haven't even opened all of them. Anyway, they're all coming in for the solo part, and then after it gets back to the chorus. And I didn't want to melt these tracks together because the solo parts kind of overlap a bit with the final chorus. So with these, I had a lot of trouble because there's so many tracks and you have to try to get the balance right. So I did a lot of buzzing. First of all, there is kind of one pack of background vocals. You have the higher, mid, and lower sounds. They go to background vocals 1. Then you have the second pack, which was also high, mid, and low, but I muted the low just to get less mod into the mix. Goes through the background vocals 2, and both of these actually go to this full background vocals bus, which I can then add effects to. You can see I added some reverb, some delay, and also the chorus sound. And then I have separately the solo part here, which is all these mixed together, except this one. Again, I took it out and sent into the solo background vocals, which then goes to, again, the background vocals bus. And I did a fair bit of panning around. Didn't want to make it too wide, but just wide enough so that it actually sounds like a chorus or a choir singing. And when we go to the actual background vocals bus here, you can see what I did. I cut off the low end, and I did cut off the high end just a little bit, remove the area where the solo vocals are, and then remove the area just to get the boxiness out. A little compression, not too much. I guess I'll look if I solo the background vocals here. There's something else is soloed here. Yeah, the vocals. I'll take these out. And then a stereo imager. Just a little bit, not too much. And some tape saturation with the Audiomatic. And you can hear what the chorus is adding. And they're quite soft in the background. I mean, in the final mix you can hear that they don't pronounce too much.
Look at clouds through my Polaroid shades. Today
so they're not too bad in that sense. So I've gone over the mixer as well. In most cases, it's very hard to kind of teach you how to mix the song. I mean, when you're making your own song, you try to put the levels to a place where it just sounds about right. I mean, nothing's too pronounced. I should talk about the guitar solo though. This is something I've forgotten about. So the guitar solo is also kind of recorded in with my guitar. No synth there, hence it's called a guitar solo. And I've lost it somewhere in these tracks. Where is the solo? Yeah, here it is, guitar solo. So let's put the track out here. And it does this little play with the bass. You can hear there's a lot of space, and the space was mostly filled by the bass. And again, I have a little compression here. The compression is just in the beginning before it even goes to the line 6 amp, and then a different echo because I wanted it to be a bit more pronounced. There's a little diffusion in the end. It's just a stronger echo than what I used in Descend, and there is also a little ping pong effect going around, which I quite enjoy, especially for solos like this. With the solo, I really love the end when it actually, the whole solo comes to the end. And the way I usually record solos is that I sit down and I take the part I need to fill, and I just improvise and have it on a loop and until all the parts start to come together, and then hopefully by the end I'll have an interesting solo, because this started off way differently. I had a lot more drive, not as much delay, a lot less space in between, and when I got the bass track from Indrek, I felt that okay, I need to make it a bit different, and the final song was better because of it. So I think I've gone over the mix here. What I did here now was I exported it, just had the mix done, exported the file, and then I took it into the master file. I did a separate reason file for the master. I just imported the stereo wave file here, and it goes through the master section here. I used a preset. I'm going to link it here. It was a really interesting video on it was, I think, some 52 reason tips or something, and there was a video about mid-side mastering or mid-side processing, and I used one of the presets they demonstrated there. I urge you to look at this video. The method is very interesting, and I got quite an interesting sound with it. Basically, the sounds that are prominently in the middle are processed differently than the sounds that are prominently in the edges. So what you usually put in the left and right parts are higher sounds, and in the middle you have the kick, the bassy stuff. So they can be processed differently. So I did a little EQ. I mean, I just loaded in the preset and listened to only the let's just put the so you listen to only the mid part and only the side part. You can see they sound very differently. So when you put them all together, you should have something that sounds interesting. And I put a maximizer in the end as well, because I had mixed the song at a lower volume, so I added about a little less than 6 dB of input gain, just to keep the... I mean, you could add more if you want to brick out your entire song, but you want to keep at least some dynamic range, and I ran it through the TT Dynamics Range Index and got a DR10, which I'm pretty happy with. I mean, could be more dynamic, but still. And by the end, I used the master bus compressor, or what did I have here, which is just a really nice way to glue everything together, and added a little bit of makeup gain. Quite a lot, actually, just to get the level correct. And there you have it. This is the song. I hope you found this tutorial interesting. It's the first I've ever done, so if you have any suggestions of what I could do differently, could I shorten it up a bit, should I talk in more detail about something or show how I record it, just let me know, and I'll try to do them better in the future. Thanks a lot, and may reason be with you. Another pun.